one, tarnation!
I meant to do that.
Howdy folks, this is Applegeek, and here we are with Season 9, Episode 18. Still spoiler-free, and I've honestly been getting even more hype about this episode than the last one from friends and whatnot, so the last episode was awesome. Really interesting storyline continuity stuff happening now in the season, so yeah, I can't wait to see what is going to happen in this one. So, without any further ado, Episode 18, starting now. Oh, sweet for the sanctuary.
Antoine believes what he eats is his business. Do other predators feel that way too?
What, therapy session?
Would you like to respond?
Oh, the giraffe.
Muriel, does it bother you when Antoine tries to eat you?
These names. Aww.
Just because you're on opposite ends of the food chain doesn't mean you can't work. Huh?
Angel.
Doesn't mean you can't.
Is Angel finally gonna get what's coming to him here?
Doesn't mean you can't work together. I'm sorry, but the more you distract everyone, the longer this will take. I am listening to you, but if you really want to be heard, you should join our Predator Prey support group.
Predator Prey support
Everyone
group.
here. You could teach all these hungry predators
That
the
giraffe is
deluxe of
adorable.
carrot-based cuisine. Sorry, everyone. I think somebody just wants a little attention.
I just realized this shirt.
Since we all need to get along, what if all predators promise to only eat vegetables while staying at the sanctuary? Oh, son,
Compromise.
you can do it.
Aw. Oh.
Sandra, wait!
Isn't that a little neck brace on that giraffe, actually? Oh no, this is going south in a hurry. Squirt!
It might look like chaos, but Fluttershy makes it work, even with Angel running around.
Perhaps I can help those two get along before something here can go terribly wrong.
Okay, for starters, I swear to you, on Applejack's hat, coincidence. I swear, this is just the next clean shirt I had in my pony shirt collection in my closet. I did not expect to see Zecora again. I just thought we were kind of done with her for some reason. I don't know, but this is so long in between times when we see her, so I got no idea where this is going, but I'm kind of hoping it has something to do with Angel Bunny.
Zecora found this little guy and brought him to my office.
No,
but
probably
I thought
won't be.
I'd do better at the sanctuary.
What is that
Bringing
kind
him
of sound?
seems
She
very
talks to Angel.
I've never
Nick Confalone!
breathe smoke, though.
I already know I'm gonna like this one.
Ooh, I certainly haven't.
I thought we could take a look at his diet. Plus, it's about time for me to
What is
give
that, some
all the
kind of
animals here a checkup.
salamander or something?
That's a wonderful idea.
Aww, it's adorable.
If we really want to know what's going on, we need to make sure the problem isn't your food.
Fluttershy looking a little
I
frazzled
wouldn't
there.
worry too much. It's probably just something you Is there anything else we can do for you?
Ah, seeing what you two do, the real question is, can I help you?
You mean me and Angel?
Yes, indeed. Ooh.
Oh, he's fine. We're fine. I just don't always have time to indulge him. But we're back.
This is not on my list, but this is checkmark worthy.
Even the best of friends need help from time to time. Come visit me in my hut, should you change your mind.
Okay, thanks. But Angel and I are great.
No, you're not.
Shy. Is this the list of what you do every day?
Oh boy.
How do you find time for anything else?
Between here and teaching at the school?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I do.
Somebody feeling a little neglected.
Love it,
I'm thinking.
little gecko.
Oh, it's a gecko. Okay.
What is it? Not fluffy enough? Oh,
Aw.
sorry. We need to see if your food is causing your issue.
Aww. Uh-huh. Definitely feeling neglected.
Angel.
Oh, yeah, I see where this is going.
They're snake treats made to look like chocolate
I-
chip cookies.
I was gonna say, why are you feeding a snake a chocolate chip cookie?
They're vegan. Pinkie Pie made a whole jar.
Of course.
They're all yours if you promise. No more trying to eat Muriel the baby elephant.
Compromise.
No, Angel. I have too much to do.
Talk to the wing. Ooh.
Careful, girl. That neck is still pretty sore.
Don't forget to shift your weight,
Okay.
Scout.
What does she want?
Her neck is feeling better, but a massage every day for the next week wouldn't hurt. I'll add it to my list.
Fluttershy, I've said it before.
You know-
I'll say it again. This place would be a zoo without you.
Nice.
Angel!
You know, some of
Listen
the
to you for
insane
once.
list
Just
keeping.
What exactly is that supposed to mean?
Oh,
Come back!
wow.
Tell me! Not... Oh.
Well, whatever it is, you're the only one he can tell about it. Little fella just wants you all to himself.
Unfortunately, that's not an option.
Oh, he's not causing any real trouble.
Wanna bet?
Possibly. For that, I'll just stop talking.
I'll take care of it.
I was gonna say the insane list keeping
This is
stuff from
important.
Twilight is rubbing off on
I think I
Fluttershy.
made a dent in my to-do list for today.
Huh? Pantry? Carrot juice?
Concentrated carrot extract?
Oh
That's for
my.
reviving energy-sapped herbivores. Are you feeling run down? You just
He's
like
hungry.
the taste? Ah, Angel, that extract is in short supply. What's gotten into you? Every day.
Is there a plague on carrots?
When I have work to do.
There's a carrot farm in town, you know.
Of course I know you can't talk to anybody else, but that's not my fault. I have responsibilities.
Is there gonna be a
We can't go on like this.
potion from Zecora for
See Zecora for help.
Angel talking or something crazy like that?
Just sit and silently stew. Tell each other what's bothering you.
He's so impatient, even when he knows I have work to do.
Are they gonna flip
Well,
roles
that's
here?
not true. We talk all the time. Of course, talking at the sanctuary counts. That's where I am when I don't have a class to teach. What do you mean that's the problem? You feel like I'm the only pony you can talk to and all I do is ignore you. Well, I feel like you don't care about my responsibilities.
Well, she's kind of got a point too.
We're kind of at an impasse.
Such luck you're coming here indeed. Behold
Please,
the antidote
please.
you need.
Oh, please tell me.
Is this what you meant by help us?
What is gonna
When
happen?
trouble brews between you two, turning sister against brother, true understanding is what's due. Each must come to know the other. There's no time
Yes!
to waste. Go directly home. But you both must taste when you're finally alone.
Oh no!
Not yet, Angel. Zecora
Oh,
told me
this
to take it
is
together.
gonna be good. Oh, hi, Lavrum Bamba.
Dust off the old picnic blanket. It'll be just like old times. We'll drink the potion and settle in for a nice tea party. I can barely remember the last time we did that. I've been so busy at the sanctuary. Though, I really need to keep an eye on Zecora's gecko, and I haven't finished any of today's
Fluttershy?
chores. If I don't, the
You
animals
can
won't
afford to
get
take
me.
one moment for this.
Oh, Maybe we should just save the potion until after. Angel! Zecora said to go home first. I know she said we have to take it together, so I guess I have to.
Uh-oh. And they're in public doing this. That could be...
I wonder what it's gonna do.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Whoa. Hang on, hold up. Am I a pony? Why am I a pony?
Oh! Good! Didn't insert its body switch! Oh! This is even better! This is better!
Seriously?
This is worth another appearance!
La. Talking is so cool. Do you think this is what Zecora meant to happen? How are you gonna do your chores? Really? That's what you're worried about? Well, maybe I don't want to switch back. I've only been able to talk to you since we met, and now I can talk to any pony I want. Roses are red, violets are blue. You sell flowers, and so do you. Rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers. Toy boat. Oh, come on.
There are no words for this. This is epic.
You listening? Quit being so bossy because. Are there carrots around here?
Oh no.
You think Zecora gave us the wrong potion? So you're gonna go to her hut in the forest and get something?
No, she gave you the right potion.
All by yourself? You really don't know what it's like being a bunny. Good luck with that.
Oh no.
Go find these carrots. I need to finish your chores? I don't work for you, and caring about other animals is a you thing.
You got...
This
is steer!
Don't do that! They're making me do your bidding against my will.
I literally just talked to somebody the other day like they forgot about the stair!
Your lame chores while you go see Zecora.
They did not! Yeah, you've got to basically like do each other's job here. Sort of.
Any pony know where that useless list of Fluttershy's chores is?
Hey, Fluttershy! I was starting to wonder if you'd make it back.
Fluttershy! Oh, yeah, that's me. Definitely Fluttershy, 100%.
Andrea Lemon must have had a field day with this one.
Shy, I am. I talk to animals, I want to marry Discord.
Oh!
It is over there.
Oh, yeah. There's my good old list of chores that I will absolutely not rush through because I definitely do not have better things to do.
Perfect! This is perfect!
Well. Remember me?
Oh no.
The gem tart stall is still there again.
Hey, Twilight.
I could use a snack.
You nearly bought every tart they had last time, Spike. I can't imagine they wouldn't show up when there's a great customer like you. Oh, hi, Angel.
And
what's going on?
They have no clue on...
Do you know what he's trying to say?
Nope.
Sorry, Angel. You should probably find Fluttershy. If I see her, I'll let her know you're looking for her.
Nobody to talk to. Except other critters, apparently. It is warm in here.
And we're gonna keep at it until you start to develop a taste for it.
Ooh.
Check Muriel's trunk.
Oh! Ow!
Seems fine to me.
Oh.
I don't need those keys. Anyway,
You're gonna need those keys.
massage Clementine's neck.
Travis named Clementine? That's awesome. That is not a massage.
Legs. Probably best not to wake him. Did the thing with the thing. Yada yada. Animals. All that's left is monitor Zecora's gecko until bedtime.
Ooh. Hey there.
All right, dude. How about we do bedtime now?
Dude.
Yeah,
Aww.
it makes me tired too. Which reminds me, there's some carrot extract with my name on it.
Oh.
Okay, let's get you fed and off to Dreamland. What do you eat anyway? What do you say, Snake? Can you find something else to eat if I borrow those cookies from my friend here?
Yeah. Like, the wolf or whatever it is.
Sure, that's normal. There you go.
Eh.
I don't see what's so hard about this job. Fluttershy is such a whiner.
It's gonna turn into a zoo. Ooh. You're a bit more diminutive there than you used to be. Aww. Oh no! Ah! She is now prey. Oh.
Quite a day, my fuzzy friend. Did things work out for you in the end?
Nope.
I'm sorry, dear bunny, that things seem so grave, but I don't understand when you sign and wave. A single link to all the world.
Does she
Only
not
one
realize?
in all the land. How special she must be to you, the one who understands. Perhaps if you explained what you wanted to some pony who understood, if you truly felt heard and valued, all would return to good. And if you were to both apologize, having learned this little lesson, I imagine that might bring an end to the friendship therapy session.
So that's what cancels the spell, is when they both apologize to each other or whatever.
Muriel, the baby elephant.
Oh, she's having dinner with Antoine.
Antoine, the python?
It
Uh-oh.
was on the list. Remember, Antoine wants to have Muriel over for dinner.
Not over for dinner. He wants
Has to have her for dinner. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You would know this if you'd been paying attention.
Fake! Open your mouth this instant, miss!
Oh no! How did he get that to Ooh, leg cramp. Ow, 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 ow. Oh no.
What is going on? You did all the chores on your list, huh? Didn't you?
Well, technically I did him, kind of. But more technically, it's not my list.
You read it!
Boy.
Did I, though?
What's going to you?
You do not want to know.
Oh,
Huh?
man.
Angel?
What's wrong with her? Him? What happened?
He's exhausted. Fluttershy, I need a jar of concentrated carrot extract. Stat!
It's locked in the supply room.
And the keys in the elephant's trunk in the snake.
Any ideas how to get the keys out of the elephant that's inside the snake? Okay, point taken. And I totally deserve it. I did not provide you with the care that Fluttershy would. But now you know what it's like not to get the level of attention to which you become accustomed. The point is, Fluttershy is trapped in my bunny body. If we don't help her, maybe none of us will get her attention. I get that you don't want to help me, but don't you want to help her?
Yeah, we got a common goal here. Fine. Yay, teamwork! Okay.
Here goes nothing.
I'm kind of glad that happened out of frame. Okay, well, and right back on the hook. How convenient. That poor elephant.
Right. Predators and prey can work together.
Aww.
This place is so much work.
I know.
And now you know.
No clue how you do it all, but we are so grateful.
I can't believe she does this every day. I just wish I could tell her myself. What?
She still doesn't realize for some reason. Oh.
You're awake! It was so hard getting to Zecora's hut and impossible getting back. You can't believe I survived like this? Well, I can't believe you work here every day. These animals are crazy. No wonder you don't have time for me. My life is hard. No, your life is hard. You never appreciated me? No, I never appreciated you.
The doctor's like, what is going on here?
You're sorry? I'm sorry too. Come here,
And
you little bunny who's a pony who's a bunny.
Aww.
Oh my goodness, I'm back. I'm a pony again.
Yay!
Oh, Angel, I promise to always make time for you from now on. What do you mean maybe I won't have to? You want to do what? And that's when I realized Fluttershy doesn't have to be the only one I talk to. I can come here and talk to all of you. And now that I know how much work goes into this place, I suppose I could kinda, sorta help out every now and then. Oh, Angel, that is so sweet. But now that I know what you go through every day, I understand why your time with me is so important. I promise to always make time for you.
Turns out your friend here doesn't have a problem at all. He isn't a gecko, he's a fire lizard.
Ah.
I forgot that before they get their flame, it's hard to tell them apart.
I'm glad
The smoke should have been a
discover
clue.
where the source of it lies, or the fire that he breathes would be quite the surprise.
Speaking of surprises, can you please never do that again?
And Zecora's definitely got some troll in her. You know, this is so perfect because what's the... Let the theme finish here. Okay, Zecora's role in this show was originally supposed to be like she was going to be sort of the friendship mentor, sending the main six on their friendship lessons and things like that. And that concept kind of got changed before the show actually went into production, and Zecora got used a whole lot less than they'd originally intended. At least, if I'm remembering all the stuff correctly from, you know, the series development that I heard a long time ago. So, assuming I've got all that right and stuff, this is actually looks kind of like the way that would have looked, where she's dishing out a friendship therapy session here. Oh, I think this means that when are unfortunately not going to get a true Zecora like backstory episode or anything, which is a bit disappointing. But at the same time, I kind of had a feeling that we weren't ever actually going to get that. So, you know, not too broken up about that. But still, this is amazing. This episode is awesome, and I need to stop rambling and collect my thoughts on this. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. So, is there anyone out there who still thinks that Fluttershy is a one-dimensional character? If there is, this episode should have shut down that idea once and for all. This was a perfectly legitimate character flaw issue for Fluttershy, and one that had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the shyness and self-confidence issues that she's had in the past. Also, who would have ever thought that Fluttershy would be the one to have a pet problem of all problems? I guess anyone who's really focused hard on the issues she's had with Angel Bunny would have seen it coming. I personally just thought it was a running gag that would never really be highlighted and dealt with directly, so a little surprised that we got to that after all of this time, but I appreciate this thread being wrapped up a little bit. I don't know, maybe we are going to reform every villain, I don't know. But this episode is actually also a perfect example of the work-life balance problems that I predicted would happen. What with all the main six's day jobs, their duties as professors at the school, and of course the other times now they have to run off and help Twilight with her princess duties as she prepares for the upcoming retirement of Celestia and Luna. And it turns out this episode was even more checkmark worthy than I thought, because the work-life balance issues it's something that I have wanted to see highlighted ever since the school started last season. And that's kind of been glossed over quite a bit. Like the work-life balance thing hasn't really been focused on much in any episodes, not near to the degree that I thought it might be. So it's fun to see more on that front. And speaking of things that have kind of been forgotten about, the stare finally made a return appearance. It literally, like, I think the day before, or maybe 2 days before I watched this episode the first time, I had just been chatting with a friend of mine about various MLP related things, and I noted that certain abilities like the stare and pinky sense and whatnot seem to have been largely forgotten about by the writers, as those abilities are there to use in various situations. And there's been many times where I thought Fluttershy was going to use the stare, and then it ended up not happening. Like, okay, guess we've just forgotten about that. And now here we are, and it's used again. And like, okay, I guess I spoke a little too soon about them forgetting about it. And my friend actually had to bite his lip pretty hard to not give anything away about this episode, because he's been watching ahead on the episodes and whatnot. All my close friends are really, that I chat with this stuff about, are really careful to not let things slip like that. So it really helps me, because I can chat about this stuff without worrying much about getting spoiled and whatnot. So anyway, random thoughts out of the way, on to the episode. Now Fluttershy has, over the course of time, taken on more and more responsibilities, as we've seen. As I mentioned earlier, which has now led to a time management issue for her, as noted by all the crazy lists and everything that she's keeping to try and keep track of all of her tasks and whatnot. Her animal sanctuary is clearly taking up a lot more of her time than I had ever imagined it would, and given the time that she spends also teaching at the school and doing other miscellaneous things, she now has very little time for her personal pet, Angel Bunny. Now, we all know that Angel has been there since the beginning, as far as we can tell, and he's been a jerk pretty much all of that time. Sure, there's been times where he has actually been somewhat helpful, and it has been made clear, even before this episode, that he does indeed care about Fluttershy, and vice versa. But he's also very frequently cranky, demanding, just overall selfish, and basically just acts like a spoiled little brat most of the time, especially when things aren't going his way. And honestly, one doesn't have to think too long or hard to realize probably how this came to be. We don't have a backstory on Angel, unfortunately, but I think it's pretty safe to say that he's probably one of the first creatures that Fluttershy closely befriended when she fell down to the ground from Cloudsdale, as seen in the flashback way back in Sonic Rainbow, when she discovered her special talent and got her cutie mark, and etc., etc. I imagine he probably was hurt or something, and Fluttershy, being the way that she is, would have, nursed him back to health. But being the shy, timid pony that she was back then, he easily could have started taking advantage of the hospitality that she was providing him, and ended up being, refusing to be nice unless he got what he wanted. Fluttershy, both being concerned for his well-being and not being good at confrontation, likely would have given in to his demands most of the time, thus allowing him to settle into this lifestyle where he just kind of got spoiled. But now with, again, that's just, my headcanon kind of, it's theory since we don't have a backstory, but I can see that being pretty legitimate. And now with Fluttershy's time at a premium, we find that he's barely getting any of her time to himself at all anymore, and as a result, he's now throwing a temper tantrum and causing all kinds of trouble in Sweet Feather Sanctuary. Of course, he's not the only one at fault here. Just to be clear, I do think that Angel was far more at fault in this than Fluttershy, because he's been a selfish jerk for years and has taken significant advantage of Fluttershy's kindness throughout that time. But that also doesn't excuse Fluttershy's own personal flaws. As I noted earlier, Fluttershy and Angel do actually care about each other, despite their sometimes troubled relationship. And it's true that Fluttershy has gotten to the point where she's, taken on so much work that she's ended up neglecting Angel, at least to some degree. Now, of course, I have no reason to believe that there's any kind of malicious intent on her part with this. Rather, it's just failure to recognize how much that she's been neglecting him while focusing on the other animals. And this isn't exactly the first time that she's misprioritized the well-being of other animals either. One example that immediately comes to mind is all the way back in Season 1 when she was trying to nurse Philomena back to health and effectively bird-napped her from Celestia in order to do so, which obviously wasn't right. And much more recently, she was also against trying to help the Kieran at all because she was too worried about the risk of danger to the animals in the forest there if the Kieran ended up turning back into Neric again and set everything ablaze. I mean, not an unfounded concern, of course, but just the fact that she didn't want to try to find some way to help them at all was a little concerning in terms of her priorities. Now, all that aside, though, she's clearly and understandably frustrated by Angel being upset in this situation. Probably partly because she knows how unfairly demanding he can be, and also because she can tell that he doesn't understand how important the work is that she's doing. And Angel himself, being the greedy, demanding pet that he is, has never really paid much attention to Fluttershy's jobs, and is mostly only concerned about whether or not he can maintain the lifestyle to which he has become accustomed. I mean, he flat out said in this, it's like, you caring about other animals, that's a you thing, that's not my thing, In short, both of them were failing to observe and communicate effectively. And on that note, I was at first confused by Angel's comment about Fluttershy being the only one he could ever talk to about anything, because it seems pretty obvious to me that he can talk to the other animals. I mean, obviously he was doing so as Fluttershy here, and had her ability to do that, but I'm pretty sure that animals are able to talk to each other too. I'm pretty sure we've seen multiple scenarios of that. So, but I mean, after listening to this again, he specifically said that she's the only pony he's been able to talk to. I think what's happened here is that part of him getting spoiled like he has is that it's the ponies, or at least specifically Fluttershy, who gets him what he wants, and somehow he's ended up relating more to the ponies than the other animals like him, and dislikes talking to the other animals. But because Fluttershy's ability to communicate with animals is unique to her, she's the only one he can actually communicate with. So basically it's gotten to the point where she's the only real friend he actually has, and thus he's angry that she's ignoring him so much lately because he doesn't feel like there's anyone else he can talk to about his problems or get any attention or anything. This is, of course, largely his own fault because, like I said, if he can talk to other animals, but he's been a jerk to them all this time, and, now he's, like, alienated all of them, and he doesn't have any animal friends of his own, so, yeah, he kind of dug his own hole in that regard. He's only got one friend, and that friend is now too busy for him. So, and yes, I mean, he does have problems that he needs to be able to, share with a friend. As we saw here, being a small bunny definitely has many challenges, which Fluttershy herself was previously unaware of, despite being closely connected to the animals for most of her life. But being as selfish as he was only concerned about his own problems, and was equally unaware of all the problems Fluttershy deals with the other animals and other responsibilities that she has. And he had no idea why it's become so hard for her to actually find time to spend with them as a result. So basically the two needed to walk a mile in each other's shoes in order to have their eyes open and figure out how to move their relationship forward. This is obviously very similar to what happened in A Royal Problem, but is still unique in that it's a species change rather than a cutie mark swap. I honestly thought it was just going to be a matter of communication, where Angel was going to gain the ability to speak while Fluttershy would lose her voice and would have to rely on him to help her communicate with anyone. But the body swap idea was actually a much better idea, because that also allowed her to gain insight into what life is like for a small critter, like when trying to navigate a forest with untamed birds of prey present. Even just simple things like hopping over a log. I mean, at small stature, it's a whole different world, and on this note, I do have to point out a thing that bugs me just slightly about that whole thing there with the body swap. You know, Angel Bunny in Fluttershy's body was... he retained Fluttershy's unique ability to communicate with other animals, an ability that Fluttershy lost as a bunny. Yet she still retained the ability to administer the stare. So I find that just a little bit curious. And even Angel seems surprised that she still was able to do that after the body swap. You know, perhaps that's more of like a unique mental ability of hers that, you know, rather than being something tied specifically to her cutie mark magic or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could explain that away. It's honestly not really a big deal, just something I found a bit odd, but okay, whatever. Moving on. But anyway, I do very much appreciate the fact that Zecora, you know, made the observation that she did and, you know, proceeded to help sort this problem out for them with this potion. Now, granted, it was maybe a bit underhanded of her to have them drink that potion without any sort of true warning for what it would do, but chances are, the way things were going, that Fluttershy would have found a way to get out of it. You know, like not wanting to go there and like citing like, oh, I don't have time for this, that type of thing. You know, as it was, she almost did that anyway and only drank the potion after Angel forced her hoof on it, basically. And, my earlier annotation about this being like Freaky Friday is actually pretty on point for this. You know, in a way, Fluttershy is kind of like the mom, the adult who's dealing with all kinds of adult responsibilities and thinks that her child, in other words, Angel, has it easy because of the lack of responsibility that he has. While, on the other hand, Angel, as the kid, thinks that the adults, i.e. the ponies, have life so much easier because they're in control of everything and they can do whatever they want. You know, that kind of thing. Being forced to literally walk a mile in each other's shoes was really the best way for them to realize what each other was going through so they could better understand and support each other. And by the end, it was quite obvious that they both felt bad for all the things that they had assumed about each other's lives. You know, Fluttershy got a taste of what it was like to be a bunny, and now better understands why Angel relies so much on her to make his life safer and easier. And much more importantly, Angel came to understand just how difficult it is to care for all the other animals, and finally realized how selfish he'd been, and decided to try and do what he can to help out at the animal sanctuary. Thus relieving some of the stress from Fluttershy. And, you know, that's really a win-win situation all around, because now he'll actually have, you know, some friends amongst the animals in the sanctuary, thus giving himself others to talk to besides Fluttershy about stuff that's going on. And Fluttershy herself will probably have more time to spend with him as well, because she won't be so busy trying to handle all the chores herself every day. So... it's a win-win all around. It works out great. And, you know, this is also a great example of just how communities in general should work too. You know, communities are filled with all different kinds of people, with, you know, some more different than others, of course, and it can really be difficult to find a way for everyone to coexist peacefully, and even harder to see to it that everyone's needs are met. But when everyone decides to work together to help share each other's burdens and find ways to compromise, the entire community benefits, and the community can thrive and grow. And no, most communities, realistically, will never achieve the utopia-like qualities that exist in places like Sweet Feather Sanctuary and Equestria as a whole, even though it's not perfect. You know, in many ways it's nicer than the real world, let's be honest. But, you know, it'll never be that way because, frankly, the real world is a whole lot more complicated than this world is. And, you know, it's lot more situations and a lot more people. They're at odds with each other over so many different things, and it's just really hard to get past that sometimes. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't still do our part to try and help others win and where we can. You know, I think really the main takeaway from this is it should be to not judge somebody else without taking the time to understand at least what they're going through. You know, everyone in this world has problems, and it's far too easy to jump to conclusions about what somebody's going through and why they're acting the way that they are. You know, never assume that you know what somebody else is going through, and until you find out the truth, give them the benefit of the doubt. So that's I could ramble on and on about, you know, scenarios like that, whatever, but I think just, you know, short and sweet to the point. That's the main takeaway here. So it's a hard lesson. It's hard to it's easy to say, hard to practice, but it's at least something for us to think about. Now, with that, I'd like to take just a brief moment here to address the giant elephant in the room. Angel Bunny, sarcastically acting out some of Fluttershy's stereotypes, made the comment of, "I want to marry Discord." What? I mean, it's not necessarily that shocking of a thing, given how much the two obviously care about each other, but at the same time, it kind of is. Like, has she actually said that at some point? It's really unclear at this point whether that's actually true or not. I mean, this really could have been just a matter of Angel voicing his own observations about Fluttershy, meaning that, like, she's never actually said that. Rather, he just thinks that she wants to, simply based on his own observations of how she acts when she's around Discord or when she's talking about him, you know, as a very close friend and such. That said, given that Angel literally cannot communicate with any other ponies, it is entirely possible that Fluttershy has confided in him and told him things that she would never reveal to any other pony. You know, kind of almost using him like a live diary of sorts. And, you know, honestly, based on what I've seen in episodes like Discord and Harmony, this honestly isn't all that much of a stretch for her either, as it's clear that she cares about Discord much more than someone who simply tolerates him in order to keep the peace. Whether or not it's moved beyond a really close friendship to an actual romantic attraction is the big question mark here. Perhaps it has, perhaps it hasn't. Really no definitive proof one way or the other at this point. All I know is I'm sure Fluttercord shippers have gone ballistic over this one little line of dialogue. You know, whatever the relationship might be, though, it's clearly done wonders for Discord himself. So I'm happy with whatever it turns out to be, assuming it's ever even touched on again before the end of the series. I mean, this may very well just have been a little bone thrown to the fans, and we're never going to come back to it again. So we'll see. But definitely a fun little bit for us to. for the fans to have fun with there, so that's fun. But anyway, that's all I got in this episode, guys. Just overall, absolutely loved every bit of this episode. Frankly, this is like one of the best Fluttershy episodes in the entire series. I don't know if I'd say the best, but definitely in the top 5 for me. So it's good that we get some awesome episodes like this to wrap up some of these little story threads, you know, just before the series does finally end on us here. So, which is coming all too soon, I know. But I gotta wrap this one up for now. Thanks for watching, everyone, and hope to see you again pretty soon for another reaction. Later.